Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, Assalamu Alaikum. I am Yasir Hussain from Pakistan Studies Department, Army Public School and College, Ordnance Road. I welcome you all on APSEC's online support program. I also congratulate you on promotion from class 9th to 10th by the federal board without taking exams due to coronavirus epidemic. As this lockdown still continues, therefore we are going to start the online classes, and this will be your first lecture of class 10th. Dear students, this is your textbook. It is the textbook prescribed by the federal board, and I hope that all of you have this book. Now I will let you know about the syllabus for class 10th. It starts from chapter number 5 because in class 9th you already have studied first to 4 chapters. 4 chapters you have studied, and now this is the 5th one, and in the 4th chapter you already have discussed about the history of Pakistan. That was part 1. So here chapter number 5, history of Pakistan, part 2. Chapter number 6, foreign relations of Pakistan. Then chapter number 7, economic development, and chapter number 8, population, society and culture of Pakistan. So total again you will have to study 4 chapters in class 10 as well. After the syllabus, you should also know about the paper pattern. Dear students, it is the same as it was in class 9th. You will have to attempt the same number of questions. Section A, it's MCQs. 10 MCQs will come. Each will comprise of 1 mark each. Likewise, in section B, it is of short questions portion. 11 questions will be given and you will have to attempt 8 questions only. 3 questions, 3 marks for each question over here. Section C comprises of the long questions. You will have to attempt 2 questions out of 3 given questions. The total marks same as in 9th, 50 marks for the subject, and the time duration for the paper is also the same. There is 2.5 hours. Dear students, now we are going to start our first lecture properly. Before starting the lecture, as you know, we should know about the objectives of this lecture. The objectives are, number 1, that is define Bhutto's era from 1971 to 1977. Describe the main aspects of the economic reforms during 1971 and 77. Understand the nationalization policy of Bhutto. Describe nationalization of industries, banks, and insurance companies. And then explain the labor and agricultural reforms. Dear students, before starting our first topic, we will have to get a linkage from the previous lecture. Just recall your very last lecture in class 9th from chapter number 4, in which we have discussed about the elections of 1970, then separation of East Pakistan and emergence of Bangladesh as an independent state because of Pak-India War in 1971. In the elections of 1970, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman of Awami League won majority seats in the East Pakistan. On the other hand, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of Pakistan People's Party got majority in the West Pakistan. No consensus developed to form the central government. The Chief Martial Law Administrator, General Yahya Khan, tried to get a consensus, but India, on the other hand, utilizes this whole situation in its favor. As you know, India from the start is our enemy, and therefore it started war against Pakistan on its western borders as well as in the eastern borders, that is in the east wing, which is now Bangladesh, and west, which we have now, that is Pakistan, West Pakistan. So therefore East Pakistan get separated. You can see on the map over here that West Pakistan, East Pakistan, we were having two wings before the separation of the East wing. So after the separation of the East Pakistan, General Yahya Khan handed over powers to Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who won the majority of seats in the West Pakistan. Dear students, now we are going to start our first proper topic. That is Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's era. In the background, I have told you all the things. Now after this, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto took over the office of the President of Pakistan as well as the Chief Martial Law Administrator on 20th December 1971. Remember that he was the first civilian Chief Martial Law Administrator. Normally, the military personnel were the Chief Martial Law Administrators. Now, after taking over the charge to create a new spirit in the nation and to enable them to face the challenging conditions and to make people aware of his policies, he also made his first speech on the same day. During his speech, he promised to build a new and progressive Pakistan according to the dreams of the great Quaid-e-Azam. Students, I am sharing with you the relevant pages of the textbook so that you will go through that what we are studying. Dear students, now we are going to discuss about the main aspects of the economic reforms during this period, that is the Bhutto's period from 1971 to 77. To understand this whole period regarding economic reforms, we will have to understand a very important term over here, that is nationalization. Nationalization is the word basically originated or emerged from the nation or nationality, which definitely refers to a state or a government. So, nationalization means the process of transfer of private business or industry to government control. Any business or any asset, either it is a bank, industry, agricultural farm, whatever that is, if it is in the private hands, that will be taken over by the government in its own control. That is known as nationalization. Dear students, as Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's main focus was on nationalization. Therefore, he started a policy of nationalization of a number of different entities, including in the industries, banks, insurance companies, and also introduced a number of reforms in labor and agriculture as well. Therefore, we are going to discuss the first one, that is the nationalization of the industries. Regarding this, by 1971, 60% of the country's industrial assets and 80% of the insurance businesses were owned by the 22 families only. These families were considered as the capitalists. Students, remember that capitalist or capitalism is a system of economic or political system in which countries, trade and industry are controlled by the private owners for profit rather than by the state. Therefore, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto considered industrial development and stability essential for the development of the people of Pakistan. So he disagreed with the policies of the capitalists, the wealthy and the industrialists. And to save the people from their injustice, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto issued an ordinance on 2nd January 1972, under which 10 heavy industries were nationalized by the government. You can see over here on page number 4 the names of these industries: automobile industry, chemical industry, consumer goods industry, steel industry, heavy equipment industry, petrochemical industry. Some other industries are over here. Under the industrial reforms, directors of 20 industrial units were terminated and their managing agencies were closed. In the interest of the country, 11 more industrial units were nationalized on 16 January 1972. Now, all these actions of the Bhutto's government gave strength to the economic stability and encouraged the industrial development. Now, the second point is that of the nationalization of banks and insurance companies. Regarding this, the big capitalist families again had their own banks and insurance companies. The government was not gaining any considerable profit from these units. Therefore, all the insurance companies were nationalized and merged under the control of the State Life Corporation on 19th March 1972. Similarly, all the banks were also taken over by the government on 1st January 1974. Now, the nationalization of the banks and insurance companies proved very fruitful for the economic stability and prosperity of the people of Pakistan, as the profit gained was spent for the betterment of the public. Here you can see nationalization of banks and insurance companies, page number 5. Dear students, now the third point is that of the labor reforms. Before discussing the labor reforms, we should know what labor reforms are. These are the various legislative and administrative measures taken by the government for the protection of the rights of the laborers. Dear students, if you remember, on 1st of May this month and every year we are celebrating the Labor Day. This movement actually started back in 1886 from Chicago for the rights of the laborers, which still is continuing over here. So in this regard, the labor reforms are very important for this community. The Bhutto government announced labor policy on 10th February 1972. Here we are going to discuss the important points of the new labor policy. The representatives of the laborers were included in the administrative committee. Likewise, annual bonuses equal to that of the 1 month's salary and special bonuses were also announced in case of the production increased. Likewise, the working time of the laborers was also rescheduled. Then every laborer would have the rights of old age pension, insurance, gratuity, medical facilities, residential and educational facilities, free education up to matric and so on. Likewise, an industrial relations commission was set up for the settlement of the disputes among the laborers through the trade unions. The trade unions are actually the organizations of the laborers. Similarly, for the settlement of the disputes between the mill owners and the laborers, certain measures were taken, and then the job security was also provided to the laborers. Dear students, now it's the last point of today's lecture, that is the agricultural reforms. Remember that agricultural reforms are also known as land reforms. It means the changing of the land ownership and distribution of the agricultural land among the people. You can say that any measures taken by the government to change who owns the land in a country. This is what about that of the land reforms and agriculture reforms. Now, Pakistan is an agricultural country, and most of the population of Pakistan is employed in this sector. Therefore, every government introduced the agricultural reforms. Likewise, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto also announced a number of agricultural reforms. Dear students, the purpose of the agricultural reforms is to save the farmers from the exploitation. Now just we will see some of the important points on page number 7. You can see over there, taken by the Bhutto government regarding the agricultural reforms. The first one, that is the limit of the land ownership irrigated by canals was fixed up to 150 acres, and land irrigated by the natural rains was up to 300 acres. It means that the land beyond these limits was confiscated and distributed among the farmers and peasants. Likewise, the land purchased by the government servants during their services of the 2 years and after their retirement was limited up to 100 acres. The surplus land would be taken over by the government. The next point is no one except for educational institutions was allowed to cross this limit of the land. It was fixed, so no one is allowed. Only landlords would pay the land and water tax. No extra land was allowed for livestock farms. All hunting grounds except for those with a historical background were taken over by the government. The landlords were not allowed to evict the peasants one-sidedly. Fragments of lands were combined under a new scheme named Consolidation of the Land. Then the financial aid was given to Anjuman-e-Imdad Bahimi to support mechanized farming in Pakistan. Similarly, for the purchase of agricultural machinery like the tractors, loans were granted to the farmers as well. Dear students, now just have a quick recap. So far we have discussed about Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's era, main aspects of the economic reforms during 1971 to 77, nationalization of the industries, nationalization of the banks and insurance companies, labor reforms and agricultural reforms. Now here comes the task and assignment for you people. You will have to read and highlight page 4 to 7 what we have so far covered. Learn by heart the definitions and the concepts I have told you. Then write down the syllabus and paper pattern in your notebook in the start I have given in the initial of this lecture. So you will have to note down on separate pages in the start of your notebook. I hope so you have purchased your notebooks. Then you will have to answer these questions over there. One is from the short questions of exercise, that is question number 8. That is, what was the limit of the agricultural land which Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto fixed for the individual holding? This question you will have to do its answer you can find on agricultural reforms. First point you can find its answer. Then the extra short questions from the text. These are 2 questions I have given over here. First is, write any 3 labor reforms introduced by the Bhutto's government. We have discussed a number of ones. You have to write only 3. Likewise, question number 2, write any 3 agricultural reforms announced by Bhutto's government. We have discussed 10 different reforms, 10 points. Any 3 you will have to write according to your own choice. Dear students, that's it for today's lecture. Do complete your tasks and assignments I have given to you. And best of luck, best wishes, and advance Eid Mubarak to all of you. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next lecture. Allah Hafiz.